time to let go of fear. Consciousness doesn't do bloody fear. Mind does fear. We're consciousness, therefore we can choose our own journey and our own direction. We don't have to be dictated to by idiots, brain donors in dark suits who dictate to us what we can and cannot do. Love is brilliantly polarized here with hate in this picture, and we have a choice between the two. Hate is what mind does. Love, in its true sense, is what consciousness does. That's the choice. So, rioting and fighting the system is just playing in the system's arena. It's playing on in the stadium that it dominates. What's the point in that? You know, we're not going to, and should not even consider, I would suggest, fighting the system. The system holds all the aces there. It's got all the weaponry anyway. And if we fight, we become what we're fighting. Draws us in. It's like Martin Luther King said, the limitation of riots, moral questions, society is that they cannot win. And their participants know it. But more than that, when you riot, when you fight something, you become what you're fighting. And, you know, we can protest, and we can protest, and we've protested, and we've protested. There was 1 million people on the streets of London protesting at the plan to invade Iraq. They invaded Iraq and killed so far in excess of 1 million people. There are endless protests all over the world against globalization and its injustices. Globalization gets faster. There are endless protests against world poverty, and world poverty just expands. You know, instead of protesting and then going home or going down the bar and feeling good about ourselves because we protested, we need to come together and stop cooperating with the system that is enslaving us and depends on our cooperation to survive. And I would say this, you know, divide and rule. That's how they control a mass of people. They divide and rule them along the fault lines, manufactured fault lines of religion and race and income bracket and all the rest of it, and country and whatever, and culture. And therefore they divide and rule the unity, and therefore the few can control the many, which are in a state of disunity and conflict. And let me make this point to people who think that's a good idea. This is not a conspiracy to enslave Jewish people, or Muslim people, or middle-class Americans, or Hindus, or Australians. This is a conspiracy to enslave the entire human family. Therefore, if we do not come together and in unity and mutual support behind that which affects us all, i.e. our freedoms are being taken away by the day, then let's symbolically sit in a prison cell or a concentration camp eventually, and let's sit around and argue who had the best religion, the best culture, the best race. Let's do that then. We'll have plenty of bloody time if we're still alive. We need to come together, not only in mutual support to stop cooperating with this nonsense, but also in mutual acknowledgement that we're all the same consciousness having different experiences. As Martin Luther King said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. People say, oh, I don't mind him being stopped having his freedom of speech because I'm allowed to say mine. I've got freedom of speech. No, you've not. Freedom of speech is the freedom to speak your view and express your version of life. If any one person is stopped from having that freedom, then no one else has freedom of speech. They only have the freedom to stay within the parameters of what is decided they can say. While one person is not free to speak their truth, no one is. They're only free to comply with what the authorities say is acceptable to speak. That's why Keystone Cops, you can go and report back as much as you like. I don't give a shit. I'm going to say what I believe at all times and stuff your bloody letter. In the end, said Martin Luther King, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. The freedom can be taken away when people say, okay, they're having their freedoms taken away, but it doesn't affect me, so that's fine. Oh, and they're having their freedoms taken away, but I don't like them, and I don't agree with what they said anyway, so that's fine. And eventually knock on the door. We're going to take your freedoms away now. Oh, you can't take mine. Oh, yes, we can. What was that saying? Pastor Niemöller after the Second World War in Germany. First they came for the Jews, and I was not a Jew, so I did nothing. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I was not a trade unionist, so I did nothing. Then they came for the communists, and I was not a communist, so I did nothing. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. And that's what's happening now. Oh, yes, let's turn attention against the Muslims. Let's turn attention against these people, and these people, and these people. Let's pick them off, and then we'll come for you. Unity is what will bring this to an end. Not looking the other way because it doesn't affect us in the moment. It will affect us eventually if we do that. And look at your children and grandchildren in the face, I say to those people, and tell them what you were doing when the fascist global police state was coming in. What were you doing, mummy and daddy, when this state took over all aspects of my life? Oh, I was watching a game show, honey. It was a good one that night. Or, in terms of people in uniform, oh, I was helping to bring it in, dear. And that's what people in uniform need to understand. They are policing in a state that also affects them and their children. People in uniform, they think they have power. They have no power. The power is in the uniform. They're just there to animate it and do its bidding because the uniform is just an extension of the state. The power of people in uniform is not in them, it's in the bloody wardrobe. That's where the power is. And when they become surplus to requirements, they will be put on the tip like everyone else, and someone else will be brought in to animate that uniform. They're just pawns in the game. And they're pawns in the game that are enslaving not only other people, they're enslaving their own families by playing a part in this. It's time to wake up and grow up and stop playing a part in the enslavement just because we think we're in uniform. These people have families, they have children, grandchildren. But what is there to fear about them? Nothing. What is there to fear about authority? Nothing. We are consciousness. All that is, has been, and ever will be. There is nothing to fear. Whatever happens, we are always that. Mind fears because it's programmed to fear. When we're conscious, there's no fear in this. It's a shake of the head. Pathetic. 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 And we need to do this. Compliance. We need to challenge that. Not with violence, not even with aggression. We just need not to fight it. We need to walk away, because without our acquiescence, it cannot survive. You know, when you look at a pyramid, we've been manipulated to believe the power in a pyramid is at the top. It ain't. The top of the pyramid is there because the rest of the pyramid's holding it up. We're holding this whole thing together. There's a story I told many years ago of a British comedian called Larry Grayson, who died. I kind of knew him vaguely, and not closely, but vaguely. And I went to his memorial service in Covent Garden, and this other comedian did this tribute to his life in which he read out this story that Larry Grayson had told him. When they were going around the variety halls and the theaters in the 60s, they had this all-male show. And Larry Grayson was the only woman in it because he used to dress up as a woman. And he said that the end of the show, the last scene, all the sailors, all the men came on dressed as sailors, and they were singing Rule Britannia. You know, Rule Britannia, Britannia rules the waves. Oh, I'm very pleased for you. Okay? And as it built up, Larry Grayson would come on dressed as Britannia with the helmet and the shield, and he would be manhandled up the side of this pyramid to the top for the big finish. And he said one night, he said things seemed to be going rather well. He said, and then I noticed that a sailor in the bottom left-hand corner had got rather a cough. And this cough got worse and worse and worse to the point where the sailor couldn't stay in the pyramid anymore and stepped out of it. Larry Grayson, symbolic of this elite at the peak of the pyramid, ended up in the second row. And the elite, the power center, had done nothing to bring about this. One sailor, the bottom of the pyramid, had got a cough. And the whole thing collapsed. And I listened to that and I thought, my God, yes, that's it. We, the powerless people, are holding the powerful people up there, and they know that. They're terrified of us realizing that. Do you remember that movie, animated movie, A Bug's Life? A Bug's Life with the grasshoppers? And what happened was there was these ants, and Ant Island as they called it, and these grasshoppers used to come every year and take all the food, and the ants had to spend the whole year gathering the food together for the grasshoppers because they were terrified of the grasshoppers. And there weren't many of these grasshoppers, and one day they're in their winter quarters in a tree, these grasshoppers, and they've got all the food they need, and someone suggested among the rank and file grasshoppers that they didn't need to go to Ant Island this year because they had all the food they needed. And then out came the leader of the grasshoppers to tell them the facts of life when the few are going to control the many. It's a wonderful speech. If you ever can see that movie, A Bug's Life, I do recommend it. And he said, basically, they outnumber us 100 to 1. And if ever they figure that out, there goes our way of life. So we have to keep the pressure on, basically. We have to keep them working, so they don't figure out where the real power is. And that's why this network of manipulation works so hard to keep us in these states. Like I said earlier, what are people leaving foreclosed homes for? Foreclosed by banks that have caused the unemployment that lead to them having to leave their homes. Stay there, refuse to leave, make it difficult for them. Expose them for what they are. We make it so easy, the non-compliance. No longer will we just do it because we're told to do it. Is it just? Is it right? Okay, I'll do it. Is it unjust? Is it not right? I ain't doing it. We start to make the decisions on what we will and will not do based on our values and not some imposition from the dark suits. These people are gonna give me, grant me, or grant me not my freedom. I'm all that is. You can't grant me freedom. No one can grant me freedom. I am freedom. It's what I am. The big question, what would consciousness do? What would consciousness do in this situation? And when we ask that question, it really just changed the way we see the world. Not what would I do, mind, or frightened. What would consciousness do? You know, this is a great line. If it's not right, don't do it. If it's not true, don't say it. And what would transform this world overnight is if we started doing what we knew to be right in the situations we face instead of what we think is right for us in the moment. Not what are the consequences for me or what's the best thing for me, how do I get the best deal out of this? What is right? What is just in this situation? If we started making decisions based on that, the world would transform overnight. These are very simple things. If we want a world of peace, then we need to be peaceful. We don't need to fight for it. We just need to be peaceful, and we'll bring that about. If we want a world of kindness, we need to be kind, and then it will naturally unfold. We don't fight for kindness. As Martin Luther King said, it's a wonderful saying, piece of oratory. Cowardice asks the question, is it safe? Expediency asks the question, is it politic? Vanity asks the question, is it popular? But consciousness asks the question, is it right? And there comes a time when one must take a position that is neither safe, nor politic, nor popular, but one must take it because it is right. And when enough of us do that, what is right will manifest by definition. And we're in this position now where this vibrational change, this energetic change is taking place, where we can start cracking these eggshells. When we can start becoming the full magnitude of who we are, where we can be consciousness in the now, using mind to experience this reality instead of being governed by it, turning the key to let consciousness in. We're being offered this opportunity now. No longer can we say we didn't realize who we are, we didn't know we could do that. I was kind of waking up one day and I saw this earth imprisoned, and I saw this big lock and a key going in and being turned. I went on the internet just very shortly afterwards. I was looking for a picture, not this one, and that's what I saw. The picture I'd just seen in my half kind of sleep. And that's what we're being offered the chance to do now, to turn the master key called becoming conscious that will bring an end to this. It's being given to us, we just need to take it. And to take it, we need to say enough. Enough of being enslaved by these people, enough of being enslaved by our manipulated ignorance, enough of being enslaved by the fear of being who we are. Enough! It is time to fly. It is time to fly. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.